Welcome to an overview of the ancient Silk Road investigation. In this investigation, you're trying to figure out how to respond to the question, which sources are most reliable for learning about the ancient Silk Road? Today, as you begin learning about the Silk Road, instead of memorizing names and dates from a textbook, which is really hard and not particularly interesting, you will instead read and hear several different perspectives. You'll discuss with your classmates, and then make your own decision about what it all means. Read, inquire, write lessons are called investigations. Throughout each investigation, you're looking for evidence to figure out how to respond to a central question. You'll notice that our investigations never say answer a question. Instead, you'll hear us ask you to respond to a central question. That's because we believe there is not one right answer. There could be multiple answers. So we want you to respond to the question with evidence. Read, inquire, write investigations support you in building a case for your argument using evidence and reasoning. Over time, this kind of work will strengthen your reading, writing, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. So in this investigation, you're trying to respond to the central question, which sources are most reliable for learning about this ancient Silk Road? So what was the purpose of the Silk Road and where was it? The Silk Road was an ancient land and sea trading route where people bought and sold goods. The route, the green line you see here in this map, connected Europe, North Africa, and Asia. In this investigation, we are focusing on different places on the Silk Road, like those you see here in the shaded areas. And we're focusing on different points in time. To understand these places during these times, you will read multiple sources with information. So now we'll introduce you to your task for this investigation. Today, there is a musical group that uses instruments to play music from the Silk Road. They are called the Silk Road Ensemble. This group frequently plays at the National Museum of Asian Art in Washington, D.C. The museum wants to plan an exhibit that they can put up when the Silk Road Ensemble performs. They have decided that they want to use 4 sources that provide information on the Silk Road in this exhibit. These are the 4 sources that the museum wants to include. First is a description by an ancient historian, Ma Duanlin, of the travel routes travelers used. The second source is a description by a traveler, Marco Polo, about his travels along the Silk Road. The third source is a record book which provides information about daily life in a city on the Silk Road. And finally, the fourth source is a phrase book which provided useful translations that people would have needed for traveling along the Silk Road. These 4 sources provide some information about the Silk Road. The question is, which sources are most reliable for learning about the ancient Silk Road? This is a question that you'll need to answer. Your task is to first read the 4 sources carefully and think about whether they are all useful for teaching about the Silk Road. Then, read the Freer-Sackler Gallery's letter and write a critique of any problems in their argument. A critique is a type of argument that responds to someone else's argument by pointing out what might be wrong with it and why. Our investigation will guide you step by step in developing your argument about the Silk Road sources. Let's review those steps now. First, you'll begin by making connections with some concepts that you already know. For example, you'll think about how you decide if you trust someone's story. Next, your teacher will provide you with the 4 different sources to read about the Silk Road. You'll use these sources to develop the argument you want to make about which sources are most reliable for learning about the museum's exhibit on the Silk Road. To help you read these sources, your teacher will provide you with this bookmark. The bookmark tool will help you understand, analyze, and evaluate sources about the Silk Road. The bookmark prompts you to make annotations, or detailed notes, about the sources. You'll do this as you read and after you read. For example, in this source, you can see that a student has circled important information related to the author and the time period when it was written. The student also made notes about what those circles mean. You will do the same on your sources, and the bookmark tool will guide you. Making these annotations is really important because they will help you remember key ideas in the sources. This way you don't have to try to remember everything or have to reread everything later. Instead, these annotations will make it easier to critique the museum's argument about the sources to be used in the exhibit. In step 3, you will weigh the evidence presented in the 4 sources on the Silk Road. You will begin by sorting the sources based on your understanding. Then you will construct and discuss the arguments based on what you have learned from these 4 sources. In step 4, you will read and analyze a mentor text similar to the type of critique you will write about the Silk Road. A mentor text is a sample of writing that shows you one way to organize and write a critique-style argument. It includes important parts such as claim, evidence, and reasoning. It's a good example of the way you can structure your own response about the Silk Road. Just remember that the mentor text is not exactly what you'll write, and it is not a source. The mentor text is one example of what your essay might look like. Next, you'll use the planning graphic organizer. The graphic organizer is like a roadmap for your essay. It helps you organize your ideas about which sources are most reliable for learning about the Silk Road, and it will prompt you to give evidence and reasoning to support your argument. You will use all of the work you've done so far to help you develop this roadmap. You'll look at your annotated sources and you'll determine what argument you think is strongest and then make the decision to plan the essay you'll need to write. Then in step 6, you're ready to write your essay and respond to the central question. Which sources are most reliable for learning about the Silk Road? Be sure to use the sources you have read to write your response to the museum. We know it's sometimes difficult to start writing. That's why we also include a useful language tool. You can look at this tool to choose from examples of how to start your claim, evidence, and reasoning. Finally, after you have spent some time writing, pause to use the reflection tool. The reflection tool will help you review what you have written so far and set goals for your next steps. The reflection tool reminds you about what to include in your argument. Let's review quickly the 7 steps you'll take throughout this investigation. First, make connections and build background. Second, read and analyze sources using the bookmark tool. Third, weigh the evidence. Fourth, analyze the mentor text. Fifth, complete the planning graphic organizer, deciding on the argument you will make. Sixth, use the useful language tool as you draft your essay. And seventh, review and improve your essay using the reflection tool. As you work through the investigation, make sure to talk with your classmates and others who can support you as you learn about and respond to the central question. Which sources are most reliable for learning about the ancient Silk Road? Good luck!